Hi, my name is jhandwer, and this is my master story. So it is hard to understand how I came to my calling without really understanding my past and the trash that's associated with it. So for me, one of the biggest changing points in my life was the summer in middle school when my grandfather had a stroke. Now, having a family member go through any sort of illness, I mean, that brings trauma to anybody. But that's not really the case with my story, because other than some some physical issues that he would never recover from, he would never fully walk again. He managed to survive and still live till up until my freshman year of college. But what actually affected me was how he and the rest of my family changed. He became he became abusive towards my mom. He berated her constantly, despite our best efforts to help him at every turn we could, trying to provide accommodations, do everything we could to get him back into the house that he wanted to live in so bad, everything, and and I might not be able to blame him for a lot of what he did, because you never know what psychological things are going on with someone who had a stroke. But I do. But what does affect me more is how the rest of my family reacted. My aunt, who helped raise me and whose kids I grew up with for many years, turned on us and claimed that my immediate family was attempting to steal my grandparents' money, which was blatantly false. We had no need for their money, and managed to convince the rest of my extended family that that was the case. And through that and through a number of other events, the one of the biggest final straws for me being one of the lawsuits that were brought against us and ultimately thrown out because they were completely baseless, was one that involved my older sister. And you only get one person that you can be fully devoted to in this life, and for me, that is her. So I had to cut myself off from essentially half of my entire family because of what happened there. And what that taught me and what that instilled in me was this uncertainty about connections with others. I believed after that incident that if my own family could turn on me like this, well, anybody could. And it made it very hard for me to trust others. And in doing that, it led to a multitude of other uncertainties. I started to question can I trust anybody? Are the people that I'm talking to, are they being real with me? Do people actually just say they like me, but actually hate me on the inside? Does anything I really do matter? Even to the point of, do I even have any purpose in life at all? And that really messed me up for a lot of years. And despite trying to go to multiple people to try to kind of solve these uncertainties in my life, both professional and non-professional, I was never able to find an answer that could satisfy me. And still, really, if I'm being honest, have not fully found that answer. But despite all of that, I had multiple angels along the way that taught me other lessons, more positive lessons. A big one in my life was on my sports team. I was part of the JV team, so wasn't very good. I can fully admit that. But the way the team was run was terrible. I had the JV was completely ignored by everyone, including the coaches, including parents. We were put on a separate bus from the varsity students to go to practice, and there were times when that bus didn't show up and we had to walk across town, and nobody probably would have cared if we did so one way or the other, except for the JV coach, who we call Mad Dog Madigan. He was somebody that taught us to ignore everything else going on around us. Don't worry about what these other people are saying and what they're thinking. You have to do. You can only do what you can control, and that is how you played on the field and how you behaved with your team. And that stuck with me. A similar moment was in my senior year of high school when I went and I auditioned with a local theater group called FMR, or Frankie's Midnight Runners, in my town. I'd gone to a number of those shows. I thought they were fantastic. I thought I really liked the vibe of them, and I knew they had open auditions every other Saturday, so I went and joined, not even expecting to even fully join the cast. And when I got there, I was pleasantly surprised. I was warmly welcomed, and more importantly, a lot of the values of that cast I thought were great. It didn't matter what your gender, your ethnicity, even your skill level was. If there was a role that you wanted, they would train you for that role, and they would work with you. And the bottom line was, if you wanted something and you worked towards it, then you could accomplish that. So both of those really kind of taught me the value of being able to kind of take control of your life. And along the way, I learned other skills as well. My high school was very harsh on writing and essays, so I got really good at proper word choice. I'm still pretty picky about it when people have me read over essays and stuff like that. I worked a multitude of jobs ever since freshman year of high school. I've worked at least every summer, and have worked from being a dishwasher to an amusement park worker to being a business development intern to being a journalist. And all of that just taught me how to adapt to so many different types of environments and job settings and people. Through my undergraduate degree here at High Points, I was game design, and I was put in a lot of positions where I was a project lead on things. And if you know anything about the game design process, or you know anything about the development process in general, is so many issues are going to come up. There are so many times where you're going to get frustrated, and you're going to need to use patience with people, with just what is happening around you. And one last kind of skill that I've always tried to capitalize on that is more inherent is I've always had a deep curiosity just in myself and the things around me. I like knowing how things work, why things work the way they do. I go to something like Walt Disney World, and people are looking at rides and thinking, oh, that looks really fun, but I'm looking at it saying, oh, they're funneling people in a certain way. Oh, it's interesting how they're keeping people entertained. Stuff like that. I'm always curious and want to know more. Now, when I was originally drafting my calling statements, I had a lot of issues because originally I thought my calling was to control. And a lot of that, I think, stems from part of it has to do with my own insecurities and my own deep desire to just have things go the way I want, because if they don't, I'm uncertain with how they can be. But I don't think that's right. And in kind of re-examining that, I think I have been able to figure out what my true calling is. I believe that my calling is to create certainty and security in myself and others through effective leadership and the imparting of my vision. Ideally, I want to be able to stop others from feeling that uncertainty, for that feeling, that confusion that I had in the past. I don't want them to feel the way I felt. And by doing so, by having that purpose, I can also be certain in myself that what I'm doing is right no matter what. Ideally, in a perfect world, my career would lead me to some sort of producer type role where I could have some control or at least oversee aspects of all different types of development, advertising, marketing. And ideally, I would love to have a small to medium sized team that's close and I'm able to work with. I want to be able to really understand each member of my team. I want to know what their wants are, their needs are. How can they be the most effective? I also want these followers to be able to trust me and feel comfortable with me. If I'm doing something wrong, I want them to be able to come to me and let me know so I can get back on task. I don't want any of them to be confused about what the goals that we're trying to achieve are. I want everyone to be able to work cohesively as a unit. And I would rather not be known for being the leader of a crack squad of individuals with amazing talents and so much technical skill. I would rather be the leader that took a dysfunctional team and was able to get them to be effective and reach that goal that we set out to do. Now, in doing so, there's going to be some things I need to conquer in myself and also things I need to improve. One, like I said before, I have a very hard time trusting others. There's many times when I would rather just do things myself and just so I can make sure it's exactly where I want to be. But as a leader, I can't do that. I need to be able to delegate. I need to be able to trust that sometimes other people know what is best and roll with that. Additionally, I need to be able to kind of get over my inner desire to be liked. Now, I want to be a good and effective leader. I want people to trust me, but actually being liked 24/7 every day at work, that's not feasible. And I need to be able to understand that there are going to be times when I might have to be a leader that's not liked in the moment. But if I'm still working towards those goals, if I'm still communicating, doing all the things I said above, then I'm doing what I need to do either way. I would also like to improve on my emotional intelligence. I've been trying with that for the last couple of years, but just being able to better understand the psychology and the emotions of my followers so I can better reach them, better communicate with them. I think that is integral to being able to be that leader I want to be. I also need to work on being more positively reactive. There's a lot of times where I would rather not get involved in drama. I don't like conflict usually. I try to avoid it when possible. But there's always going to be some form of conflict. And I need to be able to address that conflict when it happens before it can grow and evolve into something I can't control anymore. So in order to do these things, I'm committing to myself at this point that whenever there is a leadership opportunity in front of me, I want to take on that opportunity. I need to be able to experience being a leader. I need to be able to fail. I need to be able to figure out what I could do better in order to be a better leader and to be able to know whether I'm achieving the things that I want to achieve. And in that, I want to make sure that I am consistently reflecting back on my experiences. I try to be very forward-looking, but I also need to make sure I understand how did that go, where did I go wrong. Now, as far as who I can look to for guidance, it's kind of cliche to bring up family, in my opinion, but I think that there are some standout people within my family that I think are really helpful to me. My mother, she is a director of marketing. She has led various teams of people, has hired people, and she's an expert when it comes to proper business communication, how to address conflict within the business space in a respectable manner. And I think I can really turn to her if I really just don't know how I should even approach a topic. And going off And besides her, I also want to turn to my sister, again, my number one person. But besides that, she is a social worker. She has a lot of experience with dealing with difficult and delicate situations where the right words and being able to use empathy are vital to success. And be able to take those things and incorporate them myself, I think that is extremely important. Now, of all this, I will say I don't think through my calling I will necessarily have a major impact on the world. If I'm being an effective leader, and I'm being a leader, a good leader, there's a good chance that I might not be able to achieve everything and be famous or anything along those lines. To do that, sometimes you kind of have to step on some people's necks. I realize that. But for me, if I can just have a major impact on my followers and be able to gain that trust of them, to give them that certainty that they're not walking around confused of where are they even going in this career, what are they even accomplishing, to feel like they just wasted the day looking at a screen and nothing got done. I don't want that for them. And if I can prevent that, if I can give them that certainty, then I think that I will have fulfilled my calling in the world. Thank you.